Hi everyone, we're going to continue reading Runaway Ralph by Beverly Cleary. We are in the middle of chapter 6, A Thief in the Craft Shop. Ralph grew listless. So great was his homesickness that choice tidbits from the dining hall tempted him less and less. He sometimes skipped meals, preferring instead to curl up in a corner under some shredded paper where he dozed, dreaming of dark nights, smooth floors, and speed. "Cheer up," said Chum. "You'll get used to a cage." And Ralph did not answer. He wanted to be alone with his thoughts. Garf, on the other hand, no longer wanted to be alone. He came into the craft shop to tend Ralph while other campers were present. And soon he became interested in the tools in the shop and finally went to work with some other boys building wooden boats to float in the irrigation ditch. One long morning, Ralph passed the time by watching a girl named Karen. Karen was one of the older campers, a girl 12 or 13 years old with long blonde hair, which that morning was wet. All the other girls washed their hair several times a week. Karen was making an old plastic bleach bottle into a piggy bank. She turned it on its side so the handle was on top. She glued corks in place for legs, cut a slit under the handle, and painted eyes above the spout, which was now the piggy bank's snout. Ralph noticed that Karen paused from time to time to scratch her left arm. Finally, Karen set her paintbrush across the top of the paint jar and removed her wristwatch, which she laid on the shelf beside Ralph's cage. He could hear it tick. She scratched the spot where the watch had been, and she returned to her painting, and then stopped to scratch again. "Karen, let me see your arm," said Aunt Jill, who was showing a boy how to lace together a wallet. "Why, it looks to me as if you have poison oak. You had better go see the nurse about it, and be careful not to scratch it." "Aw, but Aunt Jill, it feels so good to scratch," said Karen, tossing back her hair. "I know, but scratching only spreads the poison oak and makes it worse," said Aunt Jill. "Now run along and see the nurse. I'll wash out your paintbrush for you. It's almost time for the dinner bell." When the bell rang for the noon meal and the craft shop was empty, Ralph felt his fur rise along his spine. Sure enough, just as he had expected, there was a curious paw of Catso exploring the hole in the screen door. Then the pink nose appeared. Catso must have pushed hard because the rusty screen gave way and the rest of his head appeared. Catso did not stop there. He pushed and he wiggled until he got one shoulder and then the other through the hole. Then came Catso's front foot, followed by the rest of the beast. Catso was in the craft shop. Well, where was Sam? Ralph scuttled to the far corner of his cage, where he turned his back to the world and tried to make himself invisible. He heard Catso land lightly on the work table bench beneath his cage and knew that this time there was no one to snatch the cat and shove him out the door. Ralph waited, but when nothing happened, he summoned the courage to peek over his shoulder. Catso was calmly washing himself and appeared not to notice. He knew Catso was aware of every move that he made. "Drat that cat," he thought bitterly, as his heart beat faster than the tick of the watch on the shelf beside the cage. Catso licked his right paw over and over with great care and began to wash his right ear. "That's right," thought Ralph. "Take your time." He was worn out from bracing himself for the pounce that did not come. A real war of nerves, he thought. Just what the cat wants. He's got me where he wants me, and he knows it. Catso groomed his left paw, currying his fur neatly in the direction of his toes. He used his teeth to pull bits of dried mud from between his paw pads and then began to scrub his left ear. "Well, come on," thought Ralph. Get it over. You don't have to be so neat. He would just as soon be knocked off of his shelf by a cat with dirty ears as a cat with clean ears. Catso finished washing, looked at Ralph, and then he glanced away. Ralph, who was familiar with that maneuver, thought, here it comes. But this time, Ralph was mistaken. Catso's attention had been caught by the leather strap of the wristwatch hanging over the edge of the shelf. He tapped it with a curious paw, and he watched it swing back and forth. Ralph's blood chilled as claws appeared from the exploring paw that battered the strap once more. Then the claws hooked the strap and dragged the watch down to the work table. Why, that stupid cat actually thinks the watch band is a tail, thought Ralph in astonishment. Catso sat very still, listening to the watch tick. He batted it experimentally with his paw, but the watch lay as still as any terrified mouse. While Ralph watched in fascination, Catso picked up the watch in his mouth and, with the strap hanging down like a tail, leaped from the table to the floor where he dropped the watch. He batted it about, he picked it up again, and he slipped out through the hole in the screen door. Ralph ventured out of his corner and with shaking paws clung to the wires of his cage to see what was happening next. Catso played with the watch a while on the bamboo leaves, but when the cook with a pan of scraps in hand landed at the door, you guys, that was Lauren, and she just said there's crumble cookies here. Hopefully you guys have a dessert today. Yummy, yummy treat. Okay, I'm gonna keep reading. But when the cook with the pan of scraps in hand opened the kitchen door, the greedy animal dropped the watch and he ran off to be fed. Here's a picture of Catso with the watch. The watch slid on a smooth bamboo husk until it came to rest, hidden from sight under some leaves. Talk about close calls, said Chum. Stupid cat, said Ralph in a weak voice. Ralph was dazed by the whole experience, but he noticed Garf leave the dining room when the campers began to sing one of their favorite songs. Up in the air, Junior Birdman, up in the air and upside down. Up in the air, Junior Birdman, keep your noses off the ground. Come into the craft shop, Ralph pleaded silently, and true to his promise to Aunt Jill, the boy did not enter the craft shop, but sat alone with his thoughts, twirling idly in a tire suspended from one of those trees and singing his own private tune. When you hear the doorbell ringing and see the badge of tin, you'll know the Junior Birdmen have turned their box tops in. B-I-R-D-M-E-N, yeah! And before long, Karen, her left arm covered with white lotion, came running into the craft shop with two of her friends. My watch! She cried, sending Ralph scuttling into a corner. It's gone! Somebody must have taken it, said one of her friends, an older girl who was wearing polished English riding boots. I'll bet it was that Garf Jernigan, said the second friend. I'll bet it was too, said the girl in the English riding boots. I saw him leave the dining hall early. She brushed dust from the toe of her boot. Girls who owned English riding boots were proud of them and shined them often. Karen tried to be fair. Well, we don't know it was Garf, and we didn't see him come in here. And the girls crowded out through the screen door to meet Aunt Jill, who had paused on her way to the shop to talk to someone. Aunt Jill! Aunt Jill! they cried. Karen's watch is gone. Aunt Jill, we have a mystery, cried Lena, who had tagged after the other girls in her dirty cowboy boots. She liked the dirt on her boots, which showed she was not a newcomer to camp. Okay, friends, that is where we're going to stop today. Hope you guys all have a good day. We are in the middle of chapter 6 called A Thief in the Craft Shop. Done, done, done.